welcome to Grace Gabs. I am Shonda Schaefer, the CEO for Grace, and I am thrilled that our guest today is Judge Whitley, County Commissioner Court Judge. Welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shonda. I appreciate being asked to be on here.
Yes, I'm thrilled to have you. You know, I'm going to start with a real softball here because I think now is a great time for us to give you an opportunity to explain your role in our county. You and Judge Jenkins have had an opportunity to have a lot of FaceTime, and I just really want people to understand all that you do for our county all the time. And then we'll specifically want to know a little bit about the COVID experience, but go ahead.
Well, anytime anybody asks me what I do and I say, well, I'm judge over the commissioner's court, the first question they always ask is, well, what kind of cases do you hear? And I have to go about trying to explain to them that I'm really not that kind of a judge. In fact, I'm not a lawyer. My background is in accounting. But in Texas, the way they have set up the county, structure is the equivalent of a city council for the county is the commissioner's court. And that commissioner's court is made up of 5 members. There's 4 commissioners that are elected from different precincts of about equal size from around the county. And then the county judge, which is my position, presides over the meetings and is elected countywide. So since 2007, I have been the county judge. And prior to that, I was the county commissioner for the northeast part of Tarrant County, where Commissioner Fickus, when Judge Vandergriff retired, I ran for county judge, and Commissioner Fickus ran for and was elected to my spot up in northeast Tarrant County.
Well, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, yeah, it helps a little bit. And I will tell you that as such, oftentimes what I'll just do is refer to myself as kind of the mayor of the county, because that kind of gets it in that. And when we're in times like this where we've issued an emergency declaration, then I have the opportunity between meetings to issue orders that talk with folks about different, I may strongly recommend, I may order and do different things along that lines. But what I've tried to do since the very beginning of this particular declaration is to work with the cities, to work with the health officials, and to work with our other commissioners to make sure that everybody's kind of on the same page and that we all move forward with pretty good consensus about what we need to be doing.
Well, I will tell you, I have been so impressed with your work and all of the county commissioners. We had Gary Fickus on before, and he did a great job of talking about kind of our precinct and some of the work he's been doing to represent us in the county as a whole. But I just have been so impressed. I think you guys have been doing just wonderful work keeping connected with the cities. And I know you've got a bunch of mayors that are looking to you for some guidance. So I want to just jump right in. Where do we stand right now? What orders are we under? What are your thoughts? How are things going?
I think things are moving along well now. I will tell you that the original focus of all of this, when we started putting restrictions in place, we did not want to end up like New York, where their hospitals had to be closed. They were overrun with this COVID-19 virus. People who had other emergencies, heart attacks, appendectomies, delivering babies, whatever, they couldn't get into the hospitals because they were all closed down. So that was our goal when we originally went into this, was to make sure we didn't end up like New York. And we've been very successful at that. Throughout this process, we have stayed in very close communication with our hospital CEOs to make sure that we had the available beds. The governor did things like, lessen some regulations that would have allowed for people more than one person per room, I would say. And that was kind of what we call the surge available beds. But quite honestly, throughout this process, we have never come close to even utilizing the available beds, having to utilize all the available beds. I think this morning we had over 2,400 available beds, and we had about 198 people who were in the hospital with COVID-19. So plenty of that. And so as we saw that we weren't in danger of having to close our hospitals, then we began to lessen those restrictions. And you saw that this past Friday. up until that point in time, we had laid things in place as we felt like they were necessary. Again, after talking with our cities, after talking with healthcare professionals, we would pass an order or put out an order that would either, that kind of defined what things needed to change. And finally, this past Thursday, our order came to an end, and the governor's original order had come to an end, and then he began loosening up the restrictions. And so this weekend, you saw some restaurants open back up. Last week, you saw also some elective surgeries could begin again in the hospitals. Physician and dentist offices could open back up. Some retail could open back up, all with, at the same time, the suggestions that, be careful, social distancing, wear masks if you would please, because that's not so much to protect you or me, it's to protect folks from me. And so that's the reason we ask folks to wear masks, not because we were trying to order them to do anything, but just out of respect and hopefully responsibility to the others that they're around.
Well, that's wonderful. And I got to say, I am absolutely not the expert, but I am particularly comfortable with the fact that some of the things that you and our state have done have helped us to avoid what we saw in New York and in other areas. So sometimes it's the absence of proof that proves that you did the right thing.
Well, and that's been difficult throughout this process because, we had a virus that we do not have any kind of vaccination for. And so it was very much in, keeping in mind that we didn't want the hospitals to get full. We wanted to stay on top of this, but we also realized at the same time what consequences we've had on the businesses, especially those small businesses, the hairdressers, the barbershops, some of the retail, those smaller restaurants. It's been a devastating effect, and that's something that we try to balance, but it's very difficult.
Well, and that actually leads me right into kind of the work that we do out here in Northeast Tarrant County, and that you're very much aware of. But we have seen that effect on individual people. Certainly you look at it at a much broader scale, but I'll tell you that we have seen about as high as 6 times as many families coming in for very basic needs such as food and clothing and assistance. To that end, I know that you're aware that we are going to be part of a North Texas Giving Day starting tomorrow on May 5th, asking the community to join in an effort that really spans over 3,000 nonprofits in North Texas. So this is a much bigger scale, but certainly we are looking at trying to offset that increased need with those families, hopefully that there's enough families out here that have not been as negatively affected, that may be able to support in this really bizarre time of need. So I know you're familiar with that, and certainly I appreciate your support with the GRACE North Texas Giving Day, but I know you know a lot about a lot of the needs in our county.
Well, and one of the things that we're asking people to begin to do, we did receive a direct allocation from the federal government under the CARES Act program. And we got money, as did Fort Worth, because when the population of either the county or the city was over 500,000, instead of sending that money to Austin, they sent a portion of that money directly to either the counties or the cities. And so in Tarrant County, since we're over 500,000, we received money, as did the city of Fort Worth. Now, there was 11.2 billion with a B that came to the state of Texas. And of that, there were 12 counties that had populations of over 500,000 and 6 cities. And so they were to receive about 45% of that money. As it turned out, we ended up with more like 28%, 29%. And that was about 3.2 billion. So Tarrant County ended up with about 209 million. The city of Fort Worth with about 158 million. And so as we've got that money in, we've waited to see what the state was going to do with the 8 billion that they got, because other than Fort Worth, no other city in Tarrant County got any money. And so we're still waiting a little bit on that. But what we've decided is tomorrow in court, we're going to have discussions about, how we could best allocate and spend that money, realizing that we need to work very closely with the cities that didn't get anything. But at the same time, what we're going to do is we've said to organizations similar to GRACE, and I would encourage you to kind of look out at what your needs are, not only immediately, not only maybe for the past month, but for the next 6 or 7 months, because we're not going to come out of this overnight. And food, rental assistance, utility assistance, testing, different things like that are going to be extremely important. And so we need to be setting money aside to where we can allocate that out to organizations like yours and others that are focused on and know how to give this kind of money out for the very things that you mentioned earlier, food, again, rental assistance and things along that type lines. We also want to give money out to the small businesses that we have, that have been shut down, your hairdressers, your barbers, those types of folks. We really want to get some money out to them, and we'll begin exploring ways to take applications and then to be able to distribute those funds.
That is amazing, and what an undertaking. Thank you for being in such a positive leadership role to make that happen. I do think as we've started, I will tell you, we're finally now being able to see beyond the next 24 hours, which I'm sure is about where you guys have been as well, but we're starting to look ahead. And I think the other important part of what we do is our medical clinic. We're one of the only completely free charitable clinics that are not federally funded or not funded by any governmental funds, which allows us to do some really great things, but it also prohibits us from getting some of that trickle down funding. So I will absolutely be talking to you and your staff about how we can make sure that those very critical needs are met as well. We've just seen, especially our very vulnerable population, our seniors and our disabled folks that rely on that clinic for not just, kind of cough and cold kind of things, but we're their medical home. And so disease management, medication management are all very critical right now to these families. So
the thing that I would encourage you to do now would be to document all of those costs that you've had in the past, but also let's talk about what we might be able to do into the future. The same thing with testing. We're really trying to ramp up the testing, as the governor said. We're opening another site. It'll be our 3rd site tomorrow. For folks who are interested in being tested, if they will go to covidtesting.tarrantcounty.com, covidtesting.tarrantcounty.com. There's a survey they can take, and if they're eligible to be tested, then they will be given an appointment and a place to go to be tested. And so I really want to encourage folks to use that site. We need to expand our testing, and this is a way we can get that done.
I love that. We'll make sure to have that link on all of our videos so that people can get to that quickly, and we'll make sure we include that. That's an amazing resource.
Great. That'd be great.
Well, Judge, I know you are super busy. You got a lot on your plate today, so I don't want to keep you much longer, but I do want to thank you so much. This has been wonderful information. And I just have to say personally, I know you and your beautiful wife have been very supportive of social service organizations, nonprofits in Tarrant County for many, many years. And I appreciate your help in kind of launching this North Texas Giving Day, giving people an opportunity to help support the work that's being done here in a slightly different way. So thank you for that.
Well, I really want to encourage everyone to give. And we've seen a great spirit of generosity since this started. Those folks who have not been as affected as others have been there to help, whether it be in volunteer driving and delivering meals, whether it be writing checks. The people are just extremely generous. I know they will be tomorrow, and I just hope everybody can take an effort and spend a little bit of time and make that donation to one of these. We've got so many great agencies that are doing so much great work. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. You guys are amazing. And I'm just going to sit back and watch you do your work because it's been pretty good up to this point. Very impressed. So
thank you very much, Anna. Have a good day.
All right. You too. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.